Welcome to Eplan Software and Service Virtual Fair. Dear ladies and gentlemen in the virtual audience, the topic of the next session is Eplan Experience. But before I make the first steps into my presentation, I have some very important information for you. First of all, we are very interested in your feedback regarding our virtual fair. So please feel free at any time to go to the information desk, click on the feedback, and there you have the possibility to give us a detailed feedback about the sessions, about the fair event itself, and all the information you get. And your big chance is to win an iPad mini regarding your feedback. The other thing is, or the next thing is, that feel free to press the submit question button below my presentation and ask questions during the presentation. I will answer these questions after my presentation directly here in the audience. But now let's make a step into Eplan Experience. First of all, I want to thank you very much that you take your time to be part of that presentation, to join me here, because I know that you are all involved or deeply involved in your projects today. And these projects are intensive and time demanding. But I think you made the right choice, because within the next 20 minutes I will talk about Eplan Experience that will boost the efficiency of your engineering process and give you right at hand tips and strategies to fasten your engineering, to bring down your engineering time, maybe right tomorrow. So please follow me through Eplan Experience, your gateway to greater efficiency. So first of all, let's have a look at the typical engineering challenges today in machine and plant design. So first of all, I think it is time to market. So the engineering has to be done faster. Delivery time for machines and plants are shorter. Your customers have the requirement to make the startup as fast as possible and get the machine productive. So you really have to bring down your engineering time and really deliver your results very quick to the customer. But nevertheless, the quality must be on a high level. So shorter time, high quality, very difficult to handle. The other topic is that, of course, the complexity of the machines and the complexity of the applications is rising. So you have more tasks in your engineering process. You have really dedicated and high-tech applications to handle in your engineering process, also a challenge. And nevertheless, it's of course more and more variants and options in your machines. So the customer wants to have a really flexible application, he wants to have a flexible machine, and this again affects somehow your engineering process. So you really have to handle all these variants and handle all these options. So what is the right solution for that? What is the right approach to have an engineering in shorter time, handle more variants, deliver high quality? What is really the best solution, or what are the first steps? So what we did in the past, and I'm very proud to be a part of that team that developed Eplan Experience, we got in contact with more than 110,000 Eplan users worldwide. So we really get in contact with them during the implementation of the Eplan projects, and we really find out, okay, what are their daily challenges and what are their daily needs in the engineering to become faster, more efficient, and deliver a higher quality. So just imagine and maybe ask you the question yourself, would it be great to participate in this experience, in this know-how of more than 100,000 engineers globally? So I think this is a great idea, and think about what you can change tomorrow in your engineering process. So we put all these things together, all the feedback from the implementation of projects at about 45,000 customers, and put it together into Eplan Experience. So it is a really customer-oriented program from Eplan to improve your engineering process. So how is it somehow placed in the Eplan strategy? So first of all, Eplan, the vision of Eplan is to make your engineering more efficient, of course. So this is supported by process consulting. We come on site, we want to understand your process, we want to be aware of what are your daily tasks, what are your needs in your engineering process. And then of course it's our platform, Eplan platform with electric solution, fluid solution, cabinet solution, etc. So the engineering software environment. But of course, it's also important to implement this software the right way. And nevertheless, when you are running the software, when you are working with the tools, it's very important to get the right support, and this on a global base. But nevertheless, the customers are really asking, okay, make it more concrete. Where are my fields of actions? Where can I really react on my specific situation in my engineering process? So we break all this vision and strategy down to these 8 fields of actions. And these 8 fields of actions are very concrete. They have a very concrete focus on different topics in your individual engineering environment. And I will now go through these 8 fields of actions, and maybe it's already the first idea, or gives you the first idea, where are your greatest challenges in your engineering process, so that you can directly think about, okay, what can I do different tomorrow? What can I take out of this Eplan experience? So let's have a look. First of all, it's of course IT infrastructure. So you know that it's sometimes really already the first challenge to integrate the engineering solutions the right way into your existing IT environment. So how to install, how to distribute the software, where to place the project data, etc. So this is the focus of the first action field of Eplan experience. The second one is then, of course, how to set up the solution, the engineering solutions, the right way. So maybe find out which set of function every engineer in your team, or you as an individual part of the team, needs really to fulfill the daily engineering task. Is it only electric, or is it fluid, or is it somehow also a PLC interface you need, etc. Another topic, and we all know about that, is of course that you are not designing machines the way just you like it. You are all confronted somehow with codes and standards that are a global basis for engineering. So you have rules to follow, even laws to fulfill. And within this field of action, codes and standards, we really go into detail which are relevant for your engineering, which codes are not relevant, help you to understand, maybe even show you how to implement these standards inside the Eplan environment. So really maybe to create the documentation the right way, following the machine directive, etc. The next one thing, and this is I think also a very basic one, is the product structure. So within this action field, we really focus on how you can structure your projects or your products from a functional point of view, or from a more location point of view, that you really get an idea which part of your machine, for example, represents a special function in your portfolio. Maybe there's a supply unit, there is a producing unit, or other maybe infrastructure topics like power supply in your machines. And when you get that view of the functional orientation of your machine, it is also possible to say, okay, this part of the machine can be reused in different options or variants or series of your machine and your product range, so that you really can pick out reusable components within your engineering environment. So product structure, it is not an Eplan typical part, but it is a very important thing regarding the focus having on your portfolio, of course. Next thing is, of course, and we all know about that, how to work with Eplan, or how to work in the engineering the right way. So what is the right design method to work with Eplan? So this is really somehow a challenge, because there are different requirements, different way of workings today established in the engineering. And I think this is in my follow-up the first thing I will really go in detail to talk about the design method. So really a basic focus or basic field of action in that topic. The next topic is, of course, workflow. So we all know about that why clicking menu items 10 times a day, 20 times a day, just to, for example, export a PDF document from your engineering, from your electrical engineering schematics, or why to run a translation run of the schematic several times a day. That doesn't make sense. It's the option to automate that. So just when you finalize or when you finish your work, create a PDF, translate the documentation, make a check run for errors, etc., all done automatically. The next thing, and we already heard about that today in another session, is the topic of process integration. So you have a PDM or a product data management system or some enterprise resource planning where you put all your part lists and your device lists, so it is important to connect Eplan into that environment. So this is also covered by this action field, process integration. And nevertheless, because Eplan is not only a software provider, we are also a solution provider. We are talking about project management. So on the Eplan side, we have experts that can support your experts during the project, during the implementation project, so that you have the maximum benefit coming out of the implementation and really do the fastest way to implement Eplan, so that we have on both sides the project teams working close together and bring the implementation and make it a success. So the Eplan experience covers all these different action fields, and I'm sure already during my short introduction you find out that you have some items, some tasks in your company where you say, this is really my favorite action field, I want to directly dig into it. So to make it a little bit more concrete, I picked out, as I already mentioned, some of the action fields, some of the topics to go a little bit more into detail and to give you an idea about, okay, what is Eplan experience really in the practical view? So what is it really giving to me? Because I promised you, maybe right after my presentation, you changed some very specific things in your engineering doing or thinking or strategy and structuring already today. So let's have a look at the typical engineering workflow. So how is it done today? I already introduced the topics like time to market. So you need to be faster in your engineering, you have a shorter time for your projects, you have to make it in lower costs, etc. So I already also talked about that we get in contact with more than 100,000 engineers worldwide, but what we got as a feedback is that a lot of engineering departments or a lot of service providers, engineers, are really working nearly 100% project focused. So that means there is a project coming in, the team is working on that project, and then the next one, and the complete team jumps to that project and is 100% project focus. So it is somehow a very individual working on each project. So of course there's directly an idea coming up and everybody is then saying, okay, that's the right way to work. We copy things from project to project because we did already something in project A, we take it to project B and project C. But everybody is somehow working in his own project, backup data and is multiplying the data from different projects he did in the past. So the first thing is that, of course, also errors you made in the project that you did in the past are copied and somehow forwarded to all the other projects. You have to correct them multiple times, etc. And just think about the follow-up costs. So this is not the optimum way to work, but it maybe is the first reaction to say, okay, we do copy-paste in between the projects. That's the normal way to work. And the result is really that you have a really order-specific typical design process. You do a lot of engineering to order because every project is individual engineering, and then of course you give the data to manufacturing, but as we already said, copying and really being in the focus of engineering each project is not the optimum way. So now there is the first action field, design method. So the idea is really to select the best fitting and the most efficient construction methods for your engineering tasks. The general approach is, of course, to have a more standard-oriented workflow or a bigger part of standards you reuse in your project. So, for example, when we look on the left side, we have a high rate of order-specific work of this ETO, engineering to order, and only a small part of standards that are reused. But think about you have a common database in your team where you store, for example, project templates, you store typical schematics, etc., and you work with a common parts library, etc. And then we go to the right side. So the standard you use in your projects, you reuse in your project, is really growing. And on the other hand, the ETO, so the specific work, is shrinked to a minimum. Maybe let's think about a ratio of 80% standard, 20% engineering to order or specific work. So what is the general idea behind that is to switch from only acting project phase or project focused, is to think about really designing or defining an engineering library. So just think about reviewing your existing projects you did in the past. Find out there are parts in your project you can reuse. As I already said, for example, for a power supply or for a feeding unit or for a handling unit or a control unit in your machine or your plant. You take these parts of the projects, maybe a set of schematics, electric or fluid, you take them to the library, and there you do the management inside the library, no longer in the project, you really move it to a library. And then maybe even you have some administrator that is responsible for that library. And within the library, the administrator is able to manage the data, to make it as flexible as possible, to correct errors, etc. And so the library gets better and better. And all the rest of your team, or maybe you together with your colleague inside a smaller engineering unit, you just work based on that library. So you take the data from the library, put it in the project, and then you have the effect that the quality is automatically rising because you use only data from the library that is quality saved. And then it's again the story to have a higher ratio of data that is reused, of standard data, and the part of the data you do really in the engineering, the ETO part, is shrinking down. So you really focus on the library data, and the rest of the engineering is really shrink down, and then you get faster in your projects and you have a much easier approach regarding time to market, speed in the engineering, of course, also to rise the quality in your engineering process. And this is a very basic message of this first field of action, design methods. So the Eplan approach in general starts, of course, with the right application. So you need the electric environment for the electrical engineer, fluid for the fluid, etc. So we are on the application level. But the next step is directly to think about standardization, modularization, and structuring. And this is really the message we put together in over 35 years of experience in implementing Eplan projects and Eplan efficient engineering, is really to rise the level, not only think about a good application, function-oriented, really go to have a view on the customer's workflow and understand where can we standardize, where can we modularize, and where can we structure the engineering process. And then it's the next level to find the right engineering method. Is it more basic engineering driven to collect data? Is it even the possibility to automate the generation of engineering data, or even make the step to a mechatronic configuration? So I think, just to sum it up, finding out the right engineering method for your engineering is one of the major tasks inside that Eplan experience. And I hope, coming back to the introduction of my presentation, that you already got some ideas for your engineering and maybe some minor changes already tomorrow. Let's have a look at the next thing, is the Eplan platform setup field of action. So just think about the different disciplines that are involved in the machine design. And even if it's somehow there is sometimes a wall in between the different disciplines like electric, fluid, or the cabinet builders, more on the workshop level. But to be honest, it is important that these different disciplines can work together and that you maybe somehow tear down these walls. So here is really an offer to you regarding the platform setup topic. So for that specific topic, we offer a user dialogue where you can visit an Eplan site. So for scheduling these meetings, just check the Eplan local homepage and go to events, and there you see an overview regarding these user dialogues. And within these user dialogues, we really go through these topics of the platform setup, really step by step. So first of all is the idea, where is your engineering data coming from? So the main topic is somehow basic engineering. Do you have some planning data, some pre-planning data? Are there some graphical drafts available, or single line information is needed? So this is just somehow a unit in this user dialogue, is so the first step into engineering. Where is your data coming from? Yeah, interesting question, and I think it's really the first step to make the way through the complete engineering process. Then we go to detail engineering, of course. We talk about the creation of schematics. Is it fluid? Is it electric? Or what kind of reports can be generated with the Eplan environment? Then, of course, we go also to the topic of production. So what maybe can already be predefined inside the engineering environment to support the production. To be honest, maybe somehow it's not so easy to say, okay, I do something for my guys on the workshop, but to be honest, if you can support them, yeah, you will of course again speed up your engineering process. Then we have the topic of control cabinet construction, wire harness design, manufacturing integration, and then we make the step also to service. So what is done with the documentation when it comes to redlining, when it comes to data backup, etc. So you have a complete run through the engineering process based on that user dialogue. To just give you a more concrete idea, so we really, during this user dialogue, we talk about electric P8, our powerful tool to create electrical schematics. We go to Eplan Fluid for the fluid power topics like hydraulics, like pneumatics, like cooling and lubrication. But there's also a solution on the Eplan platform for pre-planning or for basic engineering, also with a process automation environment, or with just a pre-planning or basic engineering for machines and plants. Then of course we have a look at the 3D and 2D environment for cabinet design, which offers the possibility to directly derive also the production information. And finally, we also have a look at our harness tool, where you have the full 2D and 3D environment to create wire harnesses. Nevertheless, it is also important to think about, okay, the complete design process. Yeah, you have the system design phase. Think about control technology, where you have to integrate the PLC data into your projects, etc. So these are all tasks where you have to really get in contact with the other disciplines. And be honest, sometimes there is this wall, but to have a seamless integration without media breaks, you have to get in contact to your colleagues to integrate the data into the engineering process. And then it goes, of course, on with cable harness, workshop, and all this is somehow covered by the topic of material management. So where is your device data coming from, and where is your device data going through? So maybe there is a source like the Eplan data portal for high quality device data, and you forward your part lists, for example, to the ERP and PDM system. So this is all done and all covered by this workshop. It is a one-day workshop on the Eplan side, and as I already mentioned, you find the scheduling on the Eplan homepage. But Eplan itself is not an island. We have an open platform, so you can see all the different systems we can connect to and get data from within the typical engineering environment, from ERP, PDM, PLC, and all these different engineering disciplines can work together and have a seamless data integration based on the Eplan platform. The next important topic, and I picked it out on purpose because product structuring is a very important topic inside this Eplan experience environment. So as I already mentioned, it is important for you to get an idea of your own products, how they can be structured, the machines, the systems, or even the components, to find out which part of the machines can be reused and can be somehow transformed to a standard inside your portfolio. And there we have again a workshop. It's called Expert Dialogue Product Structure. And here from the overview you can again get an idea what is on the agenda. And it is really a high quality topic. So we have a lot of discussions with the customers, and not only Eplan with the customers, but also customers in between, because there are often some different ideas about how to standardize a machine and how to standardize the units and the functional options of the machine. So we talk there about norms and standards. The IEC 81346, for example, is a very basic one. And then we really go into an example of product structuring to talk about, so what is a functional-oriented structure, manufacturing, and a part list-oriented structure. Also design methods. I already addressed, it's all working somehow together. So the Eplan experience 8 fields of actions are really connected to each other. Again, design methods, basic engineering, design automation, or configuration. And then again, also a link to the action field of project management. So what are your really next steps into Eplan experience? So you are very welcome to this kind of workshops and expert dialogues. Feel free to get in contact to your local Eplan staff and to inform you about the scheduling of that. When we talk about these 8 fields of actions, and I talked about know-how, and we collected the know-how of over 100,000 engineers globally, of course, training is a topic. So really be up to date regarding the possibilities and the functions of the Eplan environment. I don't want to get too much into detail here, but just think about really to get on a high level of the Eplan knowledge or the availability, or to know about the availability of the functions of Eplan. We really go into a deep training program here, where you can see the different steps inside this training concept on up to a really high level, the so-called certified engineer. So it's of course somehow a basic training, then we go to advanced training like parts management, master data handling. We go to, again, to the standardization of Eplan, templates of your project, schematic documentation, etc. And then we already made the step to automation. So really get rid of manual work inside the Eplan environment, really to automate the production of your documentation. And the highest level then is, of course, to become a certified engineer. Okay, so this was my 20 minutes plus, sorry for that, overview regarding Eplan experience and the 8 fields of actions, and I'm really sure that you already find out your most favorite, so to say, Eplan experience field of action. So feel free to get information on the micro page or on the Eplan homepage. And as I ask you, just in the beginning of my presentation, to press the button, submit questions. So there are already some questions coming in, and my colleagues, they prepared some of these questions. So first question is coming from Sweden, and there's a question, so what could be my individual first step into Eplan experience? So the first step, of course, could be to have a detailed look at as I already mentioned, the microsite. There you again get an overview regarding the 8 fields of actions, and also about some best practice examples from customers that already made their first steps into Eplan experience. And of course, the 2 types of events I mentioned, so the user dialogue and the expert dialogue, are really a good step to get an overview what Eplan experience can do for you. Another interesting question, it's coming from the Netherlands. So do I have to go through all fields of actions is the question. As I already mentioned, it is important to make a first step. So find out, so to say, where's your greatest pain today in your engineering process, and then make the first step into this field of action. The biggest benefit is coming out of the program, of course, if you go through all 8 fields of actions, because we made the experience in the past that all 8 fields of actions are very important, especially the IT integration topic, the engineering method topic, etc. So it's really our recommendation to go through all fields of actions in a row. A question from Slovakia. Where can I get additional information about Eplan experience? So again, here on the virtual fair, a professional team is available the whole day. So go into the chat room, ask for Eplan experience contacts, ask your questions, go to the Eplan experience microsite, and of course, you are very welcome. You are invited to be a member or to take the participation in the events, the user dialogue, the expert dialogue, all around Eplan experience. So I say thank you very much for your attention. Again, I just want to make you aware of the possibility to give feedback to our complete event, to the presentations. Go to the information desk, press the feedback button, and win an iPad mini. Thank you for your attention.
See how quite big teams consisting of lots of people are able to design really huge machines like you do as our customers.